Hola y bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente es el mejor cerveza. No abate por No Filter Network. Miguelito San Dieguito not with us today. Will the Thrill Clark not with us right now, but he will be with us this evening, 6 p.m. The next live edition of Deuces Wild. But regardless, we come on here each and every single morning. Well, we come on here and we properly salute our boys, also each and every one of you. You ready? Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the 28th day of January 2025. Let's start this thing off first by recognizing our title sponsor, Bet Online, the number one online gambling destination for all the latest news, scores, odds, predictions, whatever the fuck you want, whatever you need from a gambling perspective, it is there for you at Bet Online. The Super Bowl line is out. You have the Kansas City Chiefs laying 1.5. So that game basically is a pick 'em. I like the Eagles. Although I will say this, it is tough to bet against the Chiefs right now. I saw a meme yesterday where they showed these dudes in the back office. It's like cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And basically, it was those guys collecting all their cash while everybody continues to try to root against the Chiefs, root against Patrick Mahomes, root against Travis Kelce, root against Andy Reid. But guess what? The Chiefs just keep winning. Okay, we're also brought to you by my own website, ericbyrnes.com, ERICBYRNES.com. At the website, you can get The Effortless Life Lessons from a Human Crash Test Dummy. If you have not read that, it is a fantastic read. Daily Hustle 222, Unfiltered Life Guidance from a Human Crash Test Dummy. And then, of course, the Let Them Play, a parenting and coaching guide to youth sports. While hanging out at the site, which is, I don't know, I feel like we've made it pretty simple. Pick yourself up a foot reflexology board. This thing has been fantastic. My heel was bothering me. Went down to Mexico, playing in a pickleball tournament. Literally felt like I got shot in the heel. I hadn't had my foot reflexology board for like a week. I've come home, back on the board. It is feeling fan-fucking-tastic again. So be sure to go ahead and pick up the quad. Oh, by the way, let's not forget about Flippy. Actually, I didn't even realize this. Kind of funny. But I'm wearing not one, but two Flippies. What's better than two? I don't know. Get three. But there they are. Okay. Today's Daily Hustle that just went out a few moments ago. So for the longest time, I'm going to apologize because MailChimp was down, at least for me. And we had a tough time getting back into it. We had to change passcodes, all this stuff. So I haven't been sending out the emails. I've been posting a lot of the daily hustles on social media, but that's it. And I do know we have a good 15,000 plus that get the emails. And typically the people who get the emails are a lot more engaged. The email's always a little bit different than the social posts. So this just went out moments ago. Buenos dias. Today is Tuesday, January 28, 2025. And on this day, 39 years ago, the Challenger space shuttle exploded. I remember watching the launch on the TV in my fourth grade classroom, and then our teacher, Miss Weiner, turning the TV off and breaking down into tears. Let's raise one up and pour some out for the 7 on board, including teacher Christy McCulphy, who was chosen out of thousands of applicants to go to space and study Halley's Comet as part of the new teacher project. Daily Hustle quote of the day. It may seem difficult at first, but everything is difficult at first. Masato Musashi, Daily Hustle translation. No matter what we do in life, so long as it is worth a shit, it should be extremely challenging and oftentimes frustrating in the early stages. Every major passion pursuit in my life, baseball, triathlon, ultramarathons, speed golf, riding, broadcasting, coaching, public speaking, parenting, and pickleballing, are all really hard when we first get going. Then, as work goes in and time goes on, I like that line, things generally become easier and easier. Ironically, we as humans are naturally drawn to challenges and things that are difficult. If something is too easy, we quickly lose interest and move on. Without an arduous journey, the joy and satisfaction of reaching our destination simply does not exist. Ultimately, we must recognize that it is the process. There's I love finding typos in here. Ultimately, we must recognize that it is the process. I think one the wasn't good enough, so I added the extra one of learning and goal of perfecting that keeps us engaged. So the next time we want to be little bitches and complain about something being too difficult, let's all remember it's supposed to be. And that's exactly why the fuck we are doing it. So there it is, the Daily Hustle back in electronic email communication form. Okay, some of the top stories today. Let's start with baseball. Three of baseball's brightest stars shine on MLB The Show 25 covers. So they are Paul Skenes, Elly De La Cruz, and Gunnar Henderson. I pose the question to you guys. Of those three stars, Paul Skenes, Elly De La Cruz, Gunnar Henderson, which one would you take for the next 15 years? I mean, what a fucking really difficult decision that would be, right? I could not think of a tougher question right now. And I don't even know who else you could throw in that mix. It'd be fun to see Jackson Holiday get hot in the big leagues so we could see what he can do. But you have Skenes, who obviously the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, electric, off-speed stuff, just next level, right? This is a generational arm, modern day Nolan Ryan type of shit. Then you have Elly De La Cruz. And quite honestly, I've never seen anybody like this in my fucking life. I just haven't. I've seen a lot of really talented players, but nobody like Elly. His skills, his speed, athleticism, the pop, the hit tool at times can be a little bit of a question mark. That's, I'd say, probably the only question mark that you would have on him. Strikeout rate pretty high, but ultimately, he's just so freaking talented. So talented that it'd be hard to not pick Elly. And then the third one here is Gunnar Henderson. And Gunnar Henderson is so good. Probably of the three, the most polished. And the guy that you know is going to post up year in and year out with a consistency that not very many people in this great game have. So those are the three on the show cover. I don't know if there's any kind of show curse or anything else, but at least the show's done it right, because if you go with those three, you're going to be good, right? This isn't Madden. I mean, these three dudes are the creme de la creme and the future of Major League Baseball. All right, so last night, I want you guys to understand, I was getting in bed, and all of a sudden, I get a video sent to me, and it is of Licey and Escogido going at it in Game 7 of the Dominican Winter League Championship. Escogido then hits a home run. Junior Caminero. And this thing was a fucking bomb. The leg kick, everything at Estadio Quisqueya. And I will tell you, all my years of playing at Estadio Quisqueya, I think I hit one out just left of the batter's eye where Junior Caminero hit one. This was a bomb. The ball does not travel there. It's known as a pitcher's ballpark. Well, this dude hit this thing and immediately began celebrating with his boys who all rushed onto the field. The home run trot took 56 seconds as half the stadium, just drenched in red, which are the Escogido colors, went fucking berserk. And then as you see Junior make his way around the bases, they have a shot of the other side of the stadium, which is where the Licey fans sit. And they're all sitting on their hands like this. Well, I did a No Filter Network voiceover last night, had some fun with it, really was kidding around, was talking about how Escogido's been dog shit for 150 years. Look, they haven't been dog shit. They've been good. They're one of the better teams. It's Licey, Águilas, it's Escogido. I get it. But I thought I would, I don't know, poke the bear a little bit. It was Escogido's big moment. And sure enough, I put this thing up on social media. And the Escogido fans are fucking pissed. They're not happy about me saying that Escogido has sucked. They've come out with, hey, we won this championship, I mean, on and on. There's only 6 fucking teams. You're going to win some championships. But you guys know as well as I know, compared to Licey Campeón, they have won more championships than anybody else in the history of the Dominican Winter League, and it's not even close. So to sum all of this up for those watching for the first time here, I played 5 different winters for Licey. Could not have enjoyed my experience down there anymore. To see that clip from last night, the energy, the enthusiasm that these guys play with, and even back in the day when pimping home runs was not okay, everybody pimped them. This has been going on for a long ass time. It was actually me playing in the Dominican Republic where I all of a sudden didn't mind pimping homers anymore. I was like, whatever. They're having fun with it. They're smiling. They're laughing. That was the thing. And I don't think that anybody dresses up a homer, at least any other country dresses up a homer as well as the Dominicans do. So good for them. Good for Escogido. There is not hate coming out of here. I love Dominican baseball just in general, and huge win for them last night. Okay, moving on to a few other things. Now, I came on yesterday. This was kind of a trip, but came on here yesterday, did a full, I don't know, I think it was a 36-minute show that somehow, some way did not get recorded. So I'm going to hit a few of the topics that I did hit yesterday, including that Bills-Chiefs game. I get it. There's a lot of people crying out saying that this game was rigged. I'm a diehard Bills fan. You guys know this. Do I think it was rigged? No, I don't. But do I think once again the refs made some very questionable calls that went in the Chiefs' favor? Fuck yeah. The missed face mask penalty, the 4th down turnover that obviously Josh Allen got to the yardage he needed to get to. Beside that, Dalton Kincaid had gotten there the previous play. So to have the one ref walk up like he's spotting it and then all of a sudden go back, that's just fucking stupid. It really is. And we got to do a better job on the review of something like that. I don't need John Boy Media breaking it down the next day to clarify how and why he actually got the first down. That shit needs to be done immediately after in the booth and not like, oh, it's too close. We can't change it. That's bullshit. That was the game. That was the entire fucking game. And then the phantom flag on the play that Dalton Kincaid dropped the pass. Josh Allen. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He might be my favorite football player of all time. And that's saying a lot. Joe Montana was it. He really was. And then Ronnie Lott from the defensive perspective. Those were my guys for the longest time. I had fun rooting for Tom Brady just because growing up competing against him and then watching all that success. So he certainly would be towards the top of my list of favorite football players. But what Josh Allen is doing right now, it's just fucking inspiring. It is inspiring. There's no other way to put it. And let's not forget the fact, Mark Schlaver said this yesterday, Bills were outcoached. They simply did not call the right plays at the right time. The double tush push, taking the points off the board to go for 2 that early, I just thought it was fucking stupid. I'm like, what? No, what? Why? No. I mean, not unless you're so confident that you're going to make that 2-point conversion. I mean, to the point where it's like, okay, 90% chance we're making it. That certainly was not a 90% play. They tried that tush push twice. It was a fucking epic failure both times. So, on that note, I mean, there were several other things throughout the game, even early on, where Mahomes just a short drop back, I mean, he was the precision, right? Putting him in position to succeed, the mini rollouts. He was tough to stop. Really, really tough to stop. The Bills couldn't do it. Now, the Bills also dealt with some injuries. One of their main defensive backs was out early with the concussion. And then from there, I would say it was all downhill because Bills were there. They were there the entire time. They are just as good of a football team, if not a better football team, than the Kansas City Chiefs. But guess what? None of it fucking matters because the Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl to face the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles look good. Saquon Barkley, game changer. For those who thought the running back doesn't matter anymore, wake the fuck up. I don't know how and why we ever got jaded with the fact and idea that, oh, hey, the running back's not a big deal anymore. And that brings up another play in that Bills game in which Cook didn't get the ball enough. They went to the backup running back a few too many times. I was just, some head-scratching shit. But I do understand the idea of having 2 backs, especially during the regular season, because you're going to wear guys out. The league is just too physically brutal at this point. But Saquon Barkley is a fucking savage. Complete and total game changer. Very few I've ever seen like him. I mean, this is Barry Sanders, that shit. And he's not as pretty as Barry Sanders, right? Maybe not as graceful as Walter Payton. Didn't have the shiftiness, I should say, of Barry Sanders. But he certainly is in the top 5 running backs of all time. Top 5. Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, at least that I've seen in my lifetime. So, he's certainly towards the top. A few other minor notes, shit that's happened. Presley, the reliever from the Houston Astros, has been traded to the Cubs. This is interesting because this potentially opens a door for a return of Alex Bregman. Now, if Bregman comes back, whether he's going to play second, whether he's going to play third, whether he's going to play left field, I don't know. This guy was a Gold Glove third baseman last year. I don't know why you would fucking change it. It would not make a whole lot of sense to me. But Presley now goes to Chicago. I think the Cubs are going to be very happy with what they get there. He's legit. And then Jurickson Profar, the San Diego Padres lose out once again. Profar takes his 24 homers, his over 800 OPS, just a really solid player for San Diego last season, and he signs with the Braves. So that went ahead and took care of San Diego's rough offseason. I was looking, it was like 3 teams that haven't signed any major league free agents, and San Diego was one of those teams. Okay, the other thing, and I know we're kind of all over the board here as I try to make up between yesterday and today's stuff. So, Vanderbilt, they had the huge win against Alabama in football. The students rushed the field, tore down the goalpost, marched the goalpost down Broadway, and ended up dumping this thing into the river. They were fined $100,000. That was just by the SEC for them storming the field. So then, after that, the other day, they beat Tennessee in basketball. Tennessee was number 6. The students decide to storm the court again. So this time, it was a $250,000 fine. And I mentioned this last week on the Daily Hustle when this happened. I said, you know what would be a really savage move and support for your students? Is that the Nets fined $500,000. So you give the SEC another $500,000 and you say, all right, here's the $250,000 and here's a $500,000 for the next time this fucking happens too. Well, sure enough, just a couple days later, they take down Kentucky. And guess what happens? The students storm the fucking court again. All mayhem breaks loose and cha-ching, man. Good thing Vanderbilt's rich as fuck. I mean, this school's not hurting for money. But my goodness, I mean, at some point, I think if you're the SEC or you're the schools within the SEC, who gives a shit? Let the students storm the court. Let the students run onto the field. It's all part of the process. Hopefully that money is going to a worthy cause, and it's getting wasted in the SEC's pockets. All right, a couple other things here. Here's an interesting one while they're on college hoops. So Duke's Kamon Malik puked on the court. We're not trying to call anybody. Why is Siri butting in on this? Huh. I love how this happens. No, I don't want to try again. I want to X out, Siri. Okay, so it says the second half of Duke's matchup against NC State saw 2 delays Monday night, with Cooper Flagg and the Blue Devils eventually pulling out a 74-64 win over the Wolfpack. 2 separate incidents caused the game to be paused. First, Duke's starting center, Kamon Malik, vomited on the court. Malik wasn't involved in a play when he threw up, but still turned to the floor while the game was going on and puked. Just minutes later, security at Cameron Indoor Stadium was seen attending to and carrying out a Duke student who appeared to pass out in the stands during the game. Here are the latest updates on the situations with Malik and the Duke student that unfolded in closing moments of the Blue Devils matchup against NC State. Okay, so it says Duke held just 1-point lead versus NC State in the second half with under 5 minutes remaining. Flagg, and the Blue Devils' young star, had the ball in the post driving toward the rim, and he looked to extend the team's lead. Malik was under the rim, not involved in the offensive play. Just as Flagg drew a foul, Malik put his hands towards his mouth, then abruptly turned toward the baseline and vomited all over the court. Here's a look at the incident. Oh, geez. Wow. Big old mess. It said the game remained delayed for a few minutes after Malik vomited, and he left the floor. As stadium officials were cleaning up, the Blue Devils held on to win their 18th game of the season. Head coach John Schreier said in the postgame that it was cramping that led Malik to vomit. I mean, it's called dehydration. Simple as that. Hydrate your players, coach. Holy shit. And if the cramping's an issue, make sure you get a little mustard, turmeric. We got to answer for all this shit. Duke fan appears to pass out in the stands. Says in a separate incident just a few minutes later, after Malik was attended to, there was a second delay. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, the matchup was paused as ESPN broadcast caught security guards at Cameron Indoor Stadium picking up a Duke student who appeared to fall unconscious. You can find the video here, but be warned, it may be disturbing. It looks like the young lady has passed out. They're taking her away. It's terrible. They haven't yet been further updates on the fan status after being taken back toward the stadium's locker room. So I don't know what the fuck was going on in Durham last. I've been to Cameron Indoor. Such a cool place. I mean, it literally looks like a high school gymnasium. I'm not kidding you. All right. Last one here. So there's an article in The Athletic about Steve Cohen, the owner of the New York Mets. And basically, they were at some sort of fan fest, and the fans were asking about Pete Alonso, rightfully so. And then Cohen came out and he actually said, quote, "We made a significant offer to Pete. I don't like the structures that are being presented back to us. It's highly asymmetric against us, and I feel strongly about it. I will never say no. There's always a possibility, but the reality is we're moving forward. And as we continue to bring in players, the reality is it becomes harder to fit Pete into what is a very expensive group of players that we already have. That's where we are. And I'm being brutally honest. Quote, I don't like the negotiations. I don't like what's been presented to us. Listen, maybe that changes. Certainly, I've always stayed flexible. If it stays this way, I think we are going to have to get used to the fact that we have to go forward with the existing players. Okay, I get it. The problem is this, is that you're not supposed to publicly make these statements. And it makes sense. This is against the collective bargaining agreement, and Cohen is in violation of that. The reason being is that these negotiations should not be manipulated one way or another in the public. And that's right. And that is for very fucking good reason. So regardless of what happens here, whether he signs with the Mets, doesn't sign with the Mets, there very easily could be a case that goes on and happens between the Mets and Pete Alonso down the road. The way it could be seen is sort of bullying into taking the deal, obviously, that the Mets are presenting. I like Cohen's statements. I think that so often we always side with the player, and if the organization doesn't sign the player, it's typically always the player's fault. Well, or the organization's fault, I should say. But now you have this sort of back and forth. I mean, you do have to understand the owner's perspective. Look, they just went through this shit with Soto, right? So now he's dealing with this same dude going through it once again in Scott Boras. It's got to be frustrating. I mean, it really's got to be frustrating. And there's two guys still in the market. It's Pete Alonso, the polar bear, and Alex Bregman. I mean, these are dudes that certainly can help you win a championship. I mean, these guys are fucking leaders in the clubhouse. And John Davis, hola. Y bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. And by the way, if you're listening to Apple or Spotify, we go live here sometime between 8 a.m. and typically noon. Monday through Friday, or most Mondays through Friday. We will be live tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time for Deuces Wild. Thrill from Louisiana, obviously. I will be here in Lake Tahoe. So, and then I said lastly before, but let's just get to this. The most extreme ballpark in the big leagues for the longest time has been thought to be Coors Field. Well, check this shit out. Mike Petriello came out with an article on MLB.com. And Mike Petriello is the dude when it comes to all the StatCasts, the numbers, all of it. The guy's a fucking savage. He has made the case that the most extreme ballpark is not Coors Field, but rather Safeco in Seattle. Crazy. So I knew this, and I should have known it because it ended my career. So as offensive as Coors is, and Great American Ballpark, and some of these other fucking launching pads, Safeco is the exact opposite. You look at the home road splits of Seattle's pitchers from last season, just ridiculous. What it is, I don't know. It might be the thicker air in Seattle. It might be the construction of the ballpark. It's a really fucking difficult place to hit. A lot of former Mariners are actually saying it's the construction of the batter's eye, the way it comes at an angle as opposed to just being boom, straight up and down, right behind the fence. So even this goes back to A-Rod, who, one of the greatest Mariners of all time, and Ken Griffey Jr., and Edgar Martinez, and these guys were putting up astronomical numbers. But if you look at the home run splits, especially, I believe it was A-Rod, where there was one year he had like a 900 OPS at home. And it's like, 900 OPS, oh, that's fantastic. What would you complain about? Well, his OPS on the road was fucking 1,100. So there certainly is a huge discrepancy there. I mean, if you're an offensive player in Seattle, and even just kind of for the sake of the game, right? Like, they should do whatever they can do to help the situation, because it's not good for baseball. We need more offense in the game. It's a beautiful park, so I'm not doing anything dramatic with the park. One of my favorite parks that I've actually ever played in, one of my favorite cities I've ever played in. But I didn't know, even before I signed with Seattle, I'm like, man, I've never done great there, but who gives a shit? Like, yeah, there's a great opportunity. Yeah. And well, fuck Safeco. Ended my career. That's good, though. It brought me into this world of broadcasting and ultra endurance sports and pickleballing. Yeah, sometimes it's just time to move on. Okay, we're back tonight. Will the Thrill, Clark, and myself, 6 p.m. Pacific. We will talk all things MLB. The prospect list came out. We're going to go over a lot of the Giants players that, or a lot of them, the handful of Giants players that are on that top 100 prospect list. And then we will be ripping open 1987 Major League Baseball Topps packs. Wax packs, of course. And yes, I will be eating gum. All right. Everyone have a fantastic day. We will see ya tonight.